I've thought about this one incident that happened to me as a child. I was about 10 or 11. My family had just moved and my dad didn't have a job. He took up a habit of buying things and reselling them for a profit. In order to get good cheap deals, he sometimes found himself in some sketchy places, and since he didn't trust me or my brother, who was 8 years old, to stay home alone, we often came along for the ride. One day, my dad and a few of his friends somehow bought out an old abandoned school. Apparently, the school was going to be bulldozed and nobody cared about the furniture left inside. My dad and his friends spent a few hours each day loading furniture in and out of pickup trucks and to and from the old school. While they were working, my brother and I were told to wait and play in the cafeteria. The first time was fine, but after a few days we lost our patience. We went to find our dad, but he was nowhere to be seen. So, being the young children we were, we went exploring. The school appeared to have been an elementary school, as the walls were covered in cheerful paintings of animals, numbers, and the letters of the alphabet. The school was one story, no stairs, just a few ramps in the halls. It seemed to be built on uneven ground. There was dust and dirt piled up in the corners, and each of the small classrooms had a slightly different musty smell. Eventually, we found my dad, and my brother stayed to help and load the truck while I continued to explore. It wasn't long before I found the library. There were a few bookshelves, but not one single book. It was weird because the other rooms had traces of old paper and even a textbook or two, but the library was completely empty. The walls were plain and yellow, unlike the rest of the school, which had posters, papers, and kids' artwork decorating it. The library was surprisingly clean. It was also quiet. So quiet you could hear the soft hum of the lights. There was a wheelchair in the corner of the room, and I couldn't help but roll myself around and spin on the chair. Eventually, I got tired and walked around to see if there was anything cool I missed in the room. I couldn't help but notice the soft hum that once hadn't bothered me, now growing more and more noticeable. I realized there were no windows, and there was one set of heavy double doors that, when closed, you couldn't hear what was happening outside. I peeked my head outside the doors, and I heard my dad telling his friends goodbye. We must be leaving soon, I thought. I slipped back into the library. As eerie as it was, I felt a strange sense of comfort. I always liked being alone, and this complete solitude was exactly what I wanted after being with my annoying brother for hours. I was going to wheel myself back over to my dad on the wheelchair, but it was gone. I looked around, but I couldn't find it. I didn't think anything of it. I just walked out and left. As I was making my way through the halls, I saw something moving in the distance. It was the wheelchair rolling up on the ramps in the distance. I froze. When it reached the top, it suddenly stopped. I turned and ran the other direction. I found my dad and brother, and we went home. Thankfully, my mother got out of work early the next day, so I wouldn't have to go back to the school, and after that, Dad just stopped going for some reason. The memory is so faint that it may not have happened, and there could have been a breeze in the hallway pushing the chair up. I'll never know for sure. But that school is long gone now.